have on a wonderful guest, Livia Pewtress. And Livia is a devoted wife, a loving mother, and a faithful disciple of Jesus Christ. Her mission is to share stories of faith through the Consecrated Life Project and strengthen people in letting God lead. She lives by faith and experiences miracles daily. Yes, she does. And Livia creates inspirational products and programs that wake up the mind, inspire the soul, and support divine creation. Livia is passionate about transformation, connection, nature, essential oils, and music that inspires. Welcome, Livia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So today, I invited Livia just to talk about how she connects with God through nature. So would you tell us a little bit about you first, and then maybe what you feel when you go out in nature and how God touches you in nature?
So I'm in Utah. I'm a mom. I have 5 kids, ranging from early college to late elementary school. And I just love talking about Jesus. I can do it all day long to everybody in all the ways. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are saying, everyone is stuck. Let's get everybody out of stuck. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm called to the group of people who say, I believe in Jesus. I'm here, but I want to go deeper. And I want to go stronger, and I want to really anchor myself into who he is, to embodying the attributes of who he is, finding my mission, fulfilling my mission, and creating whatever it is that God gets to create through me while I'm on earth. And it's a really cool journey.
That's awesome. So how do you do that? How do you help strengthen other people? Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so sometimes it's one-on-one in coaching calls. Sometimes it's in different group programs or running, small workshops, things like that. Sometimes it's 5-day challenges. Sometimes it's through a membership where we come together and we have just a safe place where you can come and explore and know that when you say, I'm working on this or I'm struggling, people aren't going to say, oh, well, that means life is too hard. That means God is too hard. You shouldn't do that. We're all going to say, okay, more Jesus. Let's put him in more. Let's figure out how you can buoy yourself up with faith going forward in the journey of life and what that looks like. And then there's journals, and I made a little temple journal that I love for all our friends out there who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ or Latter-day Saints. And I love that because it allows me to capture the moments and the things that God gives me, those little tender mercies and those inspirations, and to save them.
Oh, that's awesome. That'd be a special journal, that for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned miracles, and I know that, I've been on your podcast of when the daily miracles, which was an awesome experience. So what are some miracles that you have found in your life, that especially in nature?
So many. I find that nature is it's my peaceful. So like even amidst the busy and the crazy of everything that I'm doing, I remember when I decided that I was just going to slow down, and it's like, okay, I'm sitting at the computer for lots of hours, lots of times. It's like, okay, I have to get up and move. But instead of just running down the stairs and back up again, or, go refill my water bottle, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to walk around the block, or I'm going to leave my headphones out and I'm not going to take my music or anything else. And I'm just going to be present with God, or I'm going to sit on the porch, or I will take my little dog outside and we'll put my feet in the grass and I'll eat lunch while I'm sitting there and just allowing him to speak to us, because it says, be still and know that I am God. But how many times are we so busy rushing, or even if we're walking, we've got our earbuds in and we're listening to, our music or our comforts talk or whatever it is we've got. We're still constant in that input state. But if we allow ourselves to just be still and enjoy the beauty of what God has around us, then he can speak to our spirit on a different level.
Yeah, I so agree. And that grounding, like you mentioned about putting your feet in the grass, just being one with the earth, and that is like physically grounding and spiritually grounding and all those things on so many levels. And for me too,
for people who maybe say, I don't know what grounding is, like that doesn't make sense, right? Mm-hmm. So if I think about it as like the earth is the great recycler. So you put your compost in and it turns it into dirt. Water changes into ice, into rain. It just recycles. It changes things. And so when we put our feet in the earth, it allows God's energy, God's spirit, which is embedded in everything in nature, to connect with ours. So it's almost like you can see, you can heaven, but you can't reach the sky, right? You can reach the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a creation of Christ. And so it allows us to feel that, and it fuels our body at the same time. So I find if you add intention into that, to say, okay, my feet are in the grass and I'm breathing and my face is to the sky and I feel the sun on my face and I'm just breathing, and be like, hey, I'm choosing to let go of worry or anxiety or frustration or whatever that is. And I'm letting that go. And I'm asking, God, fill me up with your light, the light that comes from Christ. Allow that to fill every cell of my body and to fortify it so they function at the optimal level, so that they can release anything that's in there that's harmful to them, to allow them to function at a level where you're in alignment with God and he can guide your step because you're choosing. So asking, you shall receive.
Wow. I love that. That is so pretty. That just the connection there through the earth to God, the way you've explained that. That is amazing. So what advice, or how, you mentioned how you take a break for a few moments, you walk around the block or whatever. Was someone having difficulty taking that time? Do you have suggestions for them of how they can break away or create those moments to be out in nature and make that connection?
Yeah, I would say it begins with the desire and the decision. Everything does. You have awareness. You're like, oh, wait, I've been inside a long time. When was the last time I actually connected with earth? I went outside, I had my shoes on, I walked on the sidewalk. Or even if you're walking and you can't get your shoes out, walking around the block, going to the mailbox, hold on to the tree for a minute, just take a breath, look up to the sun and be like, okay, God, I'm choosing to connect in this moment to the presence of where I am, not necessarily feeling like it has to be some big thing. And another part is not making yourself wrong for it. Not being like, oh, if I don't do it perfect, if I don't have a 1 hour walk, or I'm not running a marathon, whatever, that I'm not outside and I'm not enjoying nature, that it can be yours. It can be whatever you need in that moment. And I even find asking. So right above my desk here, I have a tack board and I have a picture of Christ right there. So whenever I'm like stuck on something, I just look up. I'm like, okay, what do I need? And then I'll be like, okay, you need to go outside. Okay, you need water. Okay, you need music. Whatever it is you need, but just knowing that he gets to be the center. And so as I'm asking, what do I need in this moment? Or even asking, how can I connect with nature today? You know my heart, you know my schedule, you know everything that I have today that's weighing on me. I'm choosing to connect to you. I'm choosing to connect to nature. What's going to be most effective for me today? And he'll speak it to your heart and you'll know. And then just trust whatever it is that comes. And just know that if all good things come from Christ, so you can't be wrong, unless it's like, hey, go blow up the neighbor's tree. That's a bad idea, right? So he's not
I
going to
don't
tell
think
you
that'd
to
be
do
coming
that.
from Christ.
Yeah. So if you're in the right intention and your heart is there and you're asking, then you will receive the guidance that you need for your unique situation.
Yes, thank you so much. That is so important to just, like you said, keep it simple and not worry about how it is, like if it's fitting in this box of what other people think it is or whatever, but just to keep it simple and do what you can. And I like how you just take that moment of, when you're maybe feeling a little frustrated or whatever, and just like, okay, what do I need? And listen to that prompting and follow it and do it and not hesitate. I think that's, for me, that's the key, at least, just to, take that split moment to find out what it is you need, and then go do it.
Yeah.
So.
Another thing that works well is to find a positive trigger, something that will get you. So like one of mine is when I feel the sun on my face. So like you go out walking and sometimes you're just so busy, you're looking at the ground, you're driving, you're, paying attention down here, but you're not looking up. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm like, oh, I feel the sun, I'll just stop wherever I am. Like we'll be on a family walk with the dog and then I'll stop and I'll just turn to the sun and I'll put my face up and I'll just breathe. And when I do, sometimes I'll put my hands up like this, like, okay, I'm just funnel absorbing all of the goodness God has for me. I am here. Let me have it. I'm choosing to receive. That's basically what it says. My body language is saying, God, I'm open. I'm choosing to receive. Or sometimes I'll just put my hands out like this, like down to the ground. And it's just, I am open. I'm choosing to receive. I'm choosing to absorb all the light the light from the sun, but also the light of Christ, and to have that embodied within me, because if it's in me, then it radiates from me. And then that is the light that attracts other people. That is the light that shares the gospel without you saying a word. It's because it's who you are. And so if you're just taking that moment, and it's cool because I'll stop and I'll look at the sun, and then I'll turn, and I've got two of my boys standing next to me, and they're like, get in the sun. And so just choosing, and then to communicate that even to our kids, what are you doing, Mom? Oh, I'm here. I'm choosing to let Jesus's light fill me up today.
That's awesome. I love that example of you with your kids, and how, yeah, they really watch us. And so just teaching them in that way of example is awesome. I have 5 children of my own, and yeah, being outdoors is important. Just especially, they just need to go out. I don't care what they're doing, just to be outside for a little while and enjoy nature. And I think intentionally it's important to do it, as well as just taking those moments, like you said, of just, well, that's intentional, just a short moment to soak up the sun, both the Son of God and the sun.
Yeah.
in the
Well, and
sky.
even if you think about it, like on those days when your kids are home from school and they're sick and they're on the couch and they're feeling yucky and all this, we started doing this, and I really love it. When it's not freezing, right now it's like 20 something degrees outside, it's too cold.
Oh yeah.
When it's nice, I will take a lawn chair and I'll stick them out on the grass, and I'll just like make soup or make lunch or whatever for this one kid when I have this moment when it's just me and this one child, and we'll go sit out there, we'll put our feet in the grass, and I'll read them a book while they eat their soup with their feet in the grass.
Oh,
And so rather than sitting in the house being like, oh, I feel miserable, focusing on feeling miserable, instead they're getting the vitamin D, they're getting the sun, they're choosing to put their brain on something positive versus misery, and at the same time nourishing. So they're feeling nourished, body, mind, and soul, as they try to heal.
wow, that's a neat, I don't know what you call it, not tradition, but something neat that you do with your children, and just helping them focus on the positive, and just have that the anxiety of the sickness disappear for a little while, right? Just so they can relax and help them heal in many ways. So I love that.
Our bodies are meant to heal. And so if
Yeah.
we give it what they need, then they can. I also find too, especially if you're in a season where maybe you're in some really, really hard stuff and you're like, I just need to get through this, and it's really, really tough right now. Allowing yourself to just walk and breathe. And then you can also, so this is an essential oil, it's called Adaptive, and it's really good for your brain. It's really good to help calm any anxious feelings. So you can just put it behind your ears, put it on the back of your neck, and just breathe it. So sometimes if things feel really heavy, I can do that, breathe it and then walk with God. And it feels like it takes my brain out of fight or flight, and it brings it back down where you can think more clearly, where you can speak, you can talk to God, and even talking and walking. While I walk, I will talk to him out loud sometimes, just allowing myself to move whatever emotion or whatever confusion. Because sometimes we're in our mind, we got this head stuff going on where it's swirling, and there's so many ideas, so many things. It might be doubt, it might be fear, it might be just confusion of what's my next step, where do I go from here. It could be, I just have 20 million things on my plate today, and I feel like I have to fit them all into here, and allowing God to be in that space and to say, okay, I'm just gonna let it feel spacious and expansive rather than feeling constrictive. And nature has a way of helping us expand that way.
Yeah, it does. Just just stepping outside for me is just a breath of fresh air, just automatically calms my spirit, just with whatever is going on, and just is that fresh air, right? In our minds and bodies and everything. And I like what you said about movement. I think any type of movement, it's an action, it's more progression, and it will help us, especially going out in nature and taking that action, just to change what's going on. To that action will help us, put us in a better state, I think.
But, well, action actually helps move emotion too.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of times we'll think, oh, I have to think on this, I have to process on this, I have to journal on this, but all that is sedentary. And if you can move your body while you're trying to do that with, hey, this is my clear intention, I did my journaling and now I still feel something heavy, then I can just walk it out, run it out, bike it out, whatever you want, go hula hoop,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
There you go. Are you a hula hooper?
Sometimes. I
Yeah.
made some years ago when we were homeschooling. So I learned how to make these like good ones out of pipes. So they're
Uh-huh.
like what are they called? You get them
PVC?
from the harbor store, the black pipes, but they're like
Oh,
flexible. And you
uh-huh.
add water in them and you put this connector and you glue them all together. So I have like 6 of these things. So I keep one behind my hutch, and in the summertime when I'm like feeling stuck and I'm like, I just need to do it, and something I just need to shake it. Like I will literally like shake, and then I will go outside and I'll hula hoop, or I have one of those like wiggle boards.
Uh-huh.
Those are like they like this, and put your
Hmm.
feet and you wiggle back and forth. So I'll do that, inside if it's raining, or I'll take my hula hoop outside. Or I
That's
had these
awesome.
one things. They were like fabric squares with like tassels hanging off of them. It was part of like a kid's exercise kit I had from years and years ago. And I
Uh-huh.
remember one day I'm like, I don't care what anyone thinks. And I went walking around the block, and I had my praise songs in my ear and these like things, and I was like throwing them and catching them and like dance walking down the street to my favorite praise songs. And I'm sure anybody who watched me thought I might have been crazy, but it doesn't matter like what they think. The point
Right.
is that it filled my soul and it shifted me and got me back in alignment with God.
What is your favorite thing to do outside? Like,
Probably my hammock.
yeah.
So I love walking and hiking, but there's something about my hammock. Actually, I have like 6 hammocks at this point. We lived in Eagle Mountain and we had these tiny little lots. And I remember I had all these little kids and I couldn't leave them for very long, but I wanted to like be outside and I wanted that nature, but we didn't have a lot of space to go. And the sun was on this side of the house and not this side of the house. So I had these 2 pillars in the front of my house. So I got a hammock and I would hang it up there. And so in the morning, I could get up while my kids were not awake yet and we were homeschooling, so they didn't have to rush to school or whatever. And I would go sit out there and I'd lay in my hammock and I would read my book, whatever it was that I was in the middle of reading. And I would sit there, and they just knew if I get up, I can check on the porch. That's where mom's at. So they'd peek out the window and they're like, mom's out there. And they'd come and they'd sit in the hammock with me and we would just cuddle. And the smaller ones would, the older ones would be like, hey, mom's outside still. I'll go make breakfast.
Uh-huh.
But it was just this, I feel like it was God rocking you. You know how when you're little and you have your baby and they're having a hard time and you would like rock them, right? And they have this sync with you.
Uh-huh.
And so for me, when I'm in my hammock and it has that gentle rock, I think of it as like I'm choosing to be like held in the arms of God. And
Oh.
he's here and he's got me.
Mhm.
So no matter what's happening, whether it's, I'm just trying to create the next thing I'm creating, or there's something hard in my family, or I'm seeking for a solution for one of my kids, that if I can just be still and breathe and let God rock me, then the answers will come through.
Wow. No wonder why you like hammocks. What a special place. It's like a sacred space for you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's interesting. This last spring, was last fall, I did 3 or 4 of them, and I created a hammock soul session. So I
Oh.
kind of mixed the coaching with my hammocking, and I'm like, okay,
Uh-huh.
what just like make me excited. And so I'm like, it's just free for anybody who wants to come, pay what you can. Like it's a donation. Like, so there wasn't this, oh, I have to pay to do it, but it just filled my soul, and people could just come and they could hang and they could, I found these cool groves with lots of trees. So we'd hang 4 or 5 or 6 hammocks out there and we would just talk about life and what are you stuck on and what do you need? And it was just cool to see how people could feel God's love and that rocking, but at the same time feel like I'm heavenly supported, but I'm also mortally supported. Because lots of times we can say, yeah, I know God's there, but I really just need a human right now to hug me.
Right.
And so if you have a person and you have God and a sacred space, miracles can happen.
Wow. That's a neat idea, just for that gathering with the hammocks and stuff, and to be out in nature that way, connecting with other people, helping them. So have you thought to do more of those?
Yeah, it's just winter. We'll probably do it again in the spring when it gets warm again.
Yeah.
But I've had people like, tell me when you do it again. Like, okay, we'll figure it out.
That's awesome. That's fun.
Well, it's nice for me because usually it's like I got 20 minutes in my hammock before, like there's a tree behind the school where my kids go.
And so I'll show up early and I'll take my book or my journal or whatever I'm working on, and I'll hang in my hammock for like 20 minutes as all the kids come out of the school, and then we're the last ones to leave the parking lot. But for this, I'm like, I blocked my whole day. I got 4 hours hammock time to hang out and talk to people. And so it was a little bit hesitant at first, because I'm like, it's my sacred space. Like, I want to just have it with God, But I found that I can still have that in my moments, and then I can still have that with others as well, and help them to find the joy that comes from nature, from God, from letting him rock you.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, my daughter, because we homeschool, and one of my daughters loves to do her math in the hammock
Mm-hmm.
or anything. But yeah, we have hammocks on the ready outside. So
I love my hammocks.
yeah, that's cool. And you said you have 6?
Something like that. A couple of them are yoga trapezes. Have you ever seen those?
I don't know.
So it's basic. The middle part is a hammock, so it goes up like a U shape, and then there's like long strings, medium strings, and short strings, and they have handles on them, so they're actually for exercise. So basically, you're yogaing in midair, and so you can pull yourself up and suspend yourself and do like all of the core body exercises without the pressure of the floor because you're up.
Wow.
I haven't mastered that part yet, but we use them for hammocks all the time. And sometimes we flip upside down and stretch our back out. Whatever feels good at the moment. But
yeah, I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah,
that sounds a little beyond my flexibility, but I don't know.
We'll gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a most memorable experience that you could share that you've had out in nature?
I have a couple interesting ones.
Okay.
Actually, going for memorable ones. I remember being in a really hard phase of my life, and things were just really, really tough. And so I started walking on this trail, and it's down a few miles. So I would drive my car and I'd park in the parking lot and I'd walk down this trail. And as I came up around the corner this day, I would see this tree, and it was like half this way, and then it was half falling down, and like the insides looked like it was kind of rotted, and it was really interesting. So I would watch this tree, and as I would walk, I'd see the seasons change. And it looked like it was dead. Like this whole branch coming out was totally dead. And then there would be the sprout, and then the green would come. And you could like hold on this part that was dead, and you could hold on this part that was green, and you could feel the life force of the tree. Like you could feel. So try it. If you ever see like a dead tree, hold on to it and feel it, and then feel a green one, and you can feel the difference. Anyway, so as I was walking, I actually named this tree. Its name is Wisdom, because it had so many life lessons for us, where it was like growing straight, and then it broke, and then things went this way, and it didn't go the way that it expected to go. And yet the resiliency of it, that out of the ashes was growing something beautiful. And this tree was coming back to life. It was still resilient. It's still there. There's still parts of it that seem dead and parts of it that don't. But how many lessons can we learn from that? Of, okay, where am I at now? Maybe my life didn't look the way that I thought it was going to look. And maybe there's parts that fell away due to someone else's agency, or due to something that I did. Or maybe there's parts of my personality, things that I want to let go of, things that I need to let die off. And at the same time, I need to nourish and grow and trust that God's in charge of all of it. God is the creator of the universe. He's nurturing this tree. He nurtures the sparrows. He cares for us. That even if your root or your family of origin or whatever it was had some issues, and maybe parts of it wasn't as nice as you wanted it to be, that God can still use that base, that you can still be anchored, you can still be rooted in the earth, you can still be rooted in God, and you can allow him to create new life through you in the most beautiful way, and that your life can become a lesson, even if it doesn't look the way you thought. It might not look like the perfect straight tree with all the green branches, but there is value in the journey of each individual one.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that, just to feel the different trees. And I love that you named the tree.
Yeah. And even my kids, they'll be like, Mom, can we go walk to Wisdom? And when my son had a really rough patch there for a while, and he missed a whole bunch of school and emotional hard things, and we would go for walks, and we would go by Wisdom, and I would have him hold on the tree. I'm like, okay, can you feel it? Okay, I want you to just imagine like anything hard just going away, and just imagine that tree taking it for you and allowing you to be healed and thank you, Jesus, for helping me.
Yeah. I've heard of people just, they'll go down, just take off their shoes, like we talked about, putting your feet in the ground, the earth, and they'll just stand by a tree or hug the tree and just listen,
Yeah.
kind of feel.
Yeah, or if you have a river or a stream near you, you could put your feet in the stream and just imagine like anything that's in you just going out and washing down the stream. God's taking it away.
Yeah, I need to go do that. Just get out in the river. That's neat. I wonder if that's why I love flowing water.
Mhm.
And we had gone to Austin this last summer, I believe it was, and just this one river that we went to, I don't know, I could just sit there for hours, just letting the water rush past me, and just kind of very soothing and calming. I love that suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, well, and even if some of your listeners, maybe you live in a very urban place where there's not a lot of trees, not a grass, not a anything. Maybe you work in a high-rise office building and you don't have a place where you can really connect to nature. Just remember that water is nature.
Mm-hmm.
And it is pumped into our buildings from outside. It came from nature. So even as you wash your hands, if you're like fully intentional in there, you can imagine, washing off whatever's stuck as you're in the shower. Just you can even imagine the sun, imagine the sun filling you, imagine the water washing off anything that's bothering you that day, and just get out, not just physically clean, but spiritually and emotionally connected and clean as well.
That's a great idea. Thank you. It's a good suggestion. What were you mentioned some other memories that you had?
So I see parables everywhere.
That's
If
awesome.
you haven't got that yet, that I remember.
Great
So I was
gift.
what?
It's a great gift.
Yeah. I think it might be part of the coaching gift. If you're
Okay.
here to help people, you have to be able to see how everything applies to life in spiritual ways.
Mm-hmm.
But so my son and I will bike to school every day. And so I had dropped him off one day and I was coming back around this corner and I had to hard stop and turn around because right in the middle, so this road where cars go by all the time, on the side, there's a little evergreen tree with a bunch of pine cones on it. And probably a third of the way into the middle of the road, there was a single pine cone in pristine condition sitting straight up, right in the middle of the road. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's fun to just think of, what? Sometimes that feels like it happens to us, right? We feel like we were here. Maybe we were hanging out with a family. Maybe we feel like we got transplanted. Maybe we had a job and we had to move across the country and we're all alone now. And we feel like we're here. But we can stand tall and straight. We can still point to heaven wherever we're at, no matter how far from where we thought we should be. But we can stand there. And it was just so cool to be like, okay, it traveled this journey and still landed straight up. So whatever hardness we travel through, we can still choose to be straight up. We can still choose to shine the best that we can, and that pine cone can stand there and be his very best little pine cone self. Obviously he didn't have control over that, but right. I feel like it was one of those little lessons that God was like, oh, look, there's something you can learn here.
That's cool. Yeah, I think like you said, to shine your light just the best you can. Some situations are harder, sometimes some seasons of life are harder, but just always keep moving forward and look to Christ, that you've talked about, and just reach for that light that's around you. So love that. Well, do you have any other suggestions of how people can connect with nature, or another memory that you had? Seemed like you had another one.
I had another one that matched kind of with what you were just saying. So I remember it was probably as we were shifting summer to fall this last time, and the leaves were falling. And so I would walk through. Sometimes in Utah, we have all 4 seasons in one day, depending on what it looks like. But I just remember being like super aware of it this day. And I could see there was trees that had green. Like, I think I have pictures of it somewhere. Did I blog it? I might have blogged it. Go to blog.learnlivefly.com. I'm pretty sure it's there. Okay. But I have these pictures. And I could see within one picture, I could see red and green and yellow. And I could see fallen leaves. And I could see trees that didn't have any leaves. And then I could see trees that were totally barren. And there was like one leaf hanging on. And it was like, okay. So all the seasons, like you were talking about, all the seasons of life, Sometimes you feel like you're in the bright and cheery spring season, and sometimes you feel like things are changing. Oh my gosh. And sometimes you feel like I'm falling apart. And sometimes you feel like you're the crumpled one on the ground getting stomped on. But no matter where you're at, it's all part of the process. And just knowing that, nature cycles and spring comes again and fall comes again and all those things will happen. And then there was those little leaves that were hanging on for dear life. They're like, I'm the last one. I'm not letting go. I don't want to change. But how many times do we have that option to say, I see something better. I see something greater. I'm choosing to trust God that he knows the season and he's going to pull me through it to the next season. But how many times are we going to hold on to what we know, to what was comfortable, or are we just going to let go and trust the Creator and know that he's going to guide us through the season? And in the end, we're going to come out in this most beautiful spring with new growth and new life and new joy and possibility of what we can become.
Yeah. I love that. Just stepping out in faith, trusting. I love that last analogy of that leaf and how we get stagnant and we want to stay in our comfort zones, but progress comes outside of our comfort zone. So, and we just got to trust and have that faith to move forward and see the spring that's coming, right? Enjoy the spring.
Well, and once you hear a thing, you can't unhear it, right? You can't take it back. So every time you see a leaf all by its lonesome hanging on for dear life, you can ask yourself, what do I need to let go of? What am I clinging on to? That it's time for the next season, that it's time to let go. It's time to be free and see where God takes me.
Yeah. It has been so great to talk to you, Livia. I appreciate all the things you've shared. There's so many nuggets of wisdom that you've shared. I love it. And I love all your analogies and things. And where can people find you? You mentioned your blog, and can you say again your website and where people can connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. So my website is Learn Live Fly. It's LearnLivefly.com. So it's learning the things that you don't know, because every time we're feeling stuck, there's just something we don't know. And if we knew something better, then we can do better. And once you do better, you're applying what you know. So that's the living part. And then you can fly. And fly is an acronym that stands for Feel Like You. And it's when your heart and your mind and your spirit are all connected and you feel like you're really in alignment with God, you're doing what you're here on purpose to do. So not feeling like I don't feel like me today, but feeling like the divine you who's inside of you and who you're called to be and the divine gifts and everything that's inside of you. So you can go there and you can connect to all the things. If you put a /podcast on the end of that, go listen to episode 17 and 18. And I talk about a walking process of a walking meditation that I do in nature with God. And it's really cool to help you get a little bit deeper in your relationship with him.
And you had a special, amazing gift that you wanted to give to our listeners. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, perfect. So this is a brand new project that is ready to be birthed. It's called Anchored, and it is a membership community where you can come and join. If you are one of those people, you're like, I love God, I love Jesus, I really want to be firmly anchored in the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want to be anchored to the point where Jesus is my best friend, the Holy Ghost is with me in every moment of every step, and I want to be surrounded by people who want that too. I love church. I love that we can go and be surrounded by people who choose Jesus. But as you all know, there's a difference between I choose Jesus and I choose to live it every day. And that's what I really want. And I want to rally myself with those people who really want to do that. So if you have a mission or a calling or something that you're feeling called to create, this is a place where you can come and connect with other people who are in that space of God, what am I called for? And what is this going to look like? And we're going to rally around you. We're going to support you and we're going to cheer you on. There'll be live coaching where we can talk and you can say, this is where I'm at in this season. How do I turn to Jesus in this? How do I get strength? How do I work in creation? I've been doing coaching and mentoring and things for 10 years almost at this point. I do a lot with health, with essential oils, things like that. A lot of mindset work, emotional work, spiritual work. I'm firmly in Jesus, and I want to help everyone to grow in that as well. So there's an option if you want to join monthly or if you want to join annually. And if you join an annual plan, I will actually, if you tell me, you have to send me an email and tell me that you saw this podcast with Shelly. After you're in, just send me the email. You'll get the email from me. You can just reply and say, hey, I heard this on Walking with God. And I'm going to send you a $100 Amazon gift card.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Well, it doesn't have to be Amazon. It can just be a normal gift card if you don't want to shop at Amazon. That's fine too. So just tell me, be like, hey, I'm here for my $100 gift card. And we'll do that for the first 10 people that come from this podcast. And I just encourage you, if you hear this and you're like, oh, she posted that 3 months ago or 3 years ago or whatever it is, I encourage you to message me anyways. And you just might be surprised at what thing I come up with for you. So just don't take yourself out, because so many times we say, oh, it's too late. Oh, I'm not going to get it. But you'd be surprised what happens when you ask. You just might receive something you don't know.
Yes. Thank you so much, Livia. I appreciate that.
Oh, I need the website. Go to learnlivefly.com/anchored, and that will take you over there where you can find all the details and see if that's something that's right for you.
And we'll put all this information in the show notes as well. And we are so grateful for you and bringing your light and the spirit and love that you have and the connections that you are helping others to create. How beautiful. And I think we all want that purpose, that understanding of what is my life about. And I love how you help others find that and help understand that purpose in their life. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And just one last thought. I want everyone to know that your journey is not anyone else's. So don't feel like it has to be. Because so many times we'll say, oh, it doesn't look like so-and-so. It doesn't look like so-and-so. It's not supposed to. Yours is supposed to look like yours. So my goal is to help you connect to God and get those answers straight from him. So you're not waffling and worried and concerned or having FOMO about what everybody else in the world is doing, because none of it matters. All that matters is you're connected here and you're doing what you're on purpose meant to do.